Brian White helped me yesterday. And if you didn't see it, I'll put the card up at the end. Brian helped me go through the first 15 of over 20 different pieces of the pie that are coming on Cybertruck. Cybertruck, no, it's the other thing.
You can start over if you want.
I,
We're
I,
right at the
I don't want to
top.
start over. I love to
Okay.
make mistakes. It's, it's
It's my brand.
I'm a B plus guy. Okay.
Oh boy.
I am my whole life. B plus, never A's. All right. So we're gonna be talking about the cybercab eventually today, but yesterday we talked about the Robotaxi and the steps that we're going to go along to get to the actual rollout, which is what we're going to talk about today. Brian, it's Monday when we're recording this. We'll probably be showing this on Tuesday. Do you figure the stock's at 600 yet?
No, no, because I never think it's going to go up and it just keeps going up. I had some people last week when it hit all-time high. I joked, I sent out a post on X saying, you guys asked, you're welcome. I'm confident this is just because of me. And people said, could I get a few more days? And I'm like, ha, ha, ha. And then it went up. So I said, you asked. I have pulled the lever one more time. I make no promises for the future. But here's the thing: if you're the people, to all the people who get mad that, well, I bought it when it was high and then it went down. Look, today's your day. Sell it, and never bother me again because I never told you to buy it in the first place. You've done very well. Call it a day and don't harass me anymore.
Yes, I of course have Randy's rules of investing, and one of my rules of investing is to never ever be, kind of regretful that you did sell, at a certain price. Well, I sold my leaps at about 417. I
Mm,
was positive it was going back to 400.
hmm
I'm just gonna pick up a 500, $600, sell them out, buy them back, pick up. Well, I am feeling a little regretful.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm violating my own rule.
If you look on social media, you'll find a conspicuous absence of bears right now. And it would suggest to me that the people who were short and had a vested interest in it going down were all shaken out. They are all out of their positions. And when your position is closed, there's no motivation. If anything, push it back up so you can buy the shorts again. And definitely do that, guys. Keep buying shorts. It's never worked out badly for
Anybody.
anybody who lost their entire fund over it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to my list. We have the next item on the list. For sure, you folks need to go back and look at the first half, but here we go. Number 15, semi trucks get FSD, and Pepsi reports on the results.
Wow. I think the first step, of course, is autopilot. The first step is just driver assist, and that alone, I think, will be enough to move the stock a bit. Now, I don't know what the road rules are for semi operators using any kind of ADAS, but I suspect it's fine. I mean, I assume they're allowed to use cruise control. I don't know otherwise. I think then, George Hotz was explaining, he was in a podcast years ago, and they said, well, how do you get regulatory approval? And he said, you go one step at a time. You say, look, I've got forward facing cameras. Is it okay if I pump the brakes when an obstacle's coming? And well, of course you can do that. Okay. I've got, the cameras can recognize a stop sign. If the driver's not going to, oh yeah, you can do that. To just anything you can do to lighten the burden on the driver is going to help because it's mentally taxing to operate a vehicle, especially professionally when you're doing it hours and hours a day. So I think this is a real opportunity for improved safety, improved driver comfort and satisfaction. And one of the things we've seen from the Pepsi Frito-Lay demo is that apparently the drivers all want to drive the Tesla instead of the traditional big rigs.
Yeah, and we know that there's big rigs out. We know that there are Tesla vehicles out there right now with the full setup, which includes LiDAR actually, in order to begin the testing and all the getting it up to speed. But I'm just saying within this same period of time, probably in the first 6 months of the year, they will actually start to put it on some of the Pepsi vehicles, maybe some other ones as well. And then at some point, Pepsi will take advantage of the PR opportunity and talk about their success. And this will be a huge deal because at the end of the day, trucks getting FSD and becoming autonomous is a bigger deal than cars.
Absolutely. The question is the end of which day? And
Yes.
that's what I'm waiting to find out.
Okay, all right. Number 16, unsupervised will be announced with major PR stunt, like Elon going coast to coast in the back seat as he promised to do. Maybe he'll be playing Diablo while he's going coast to coast and breaking his own records. But one way or the other, there will be some kind of a stunt when the day comes when it goes from when they add the UN to supervised
And when do you think that's happening?
before June. But I think,
Whoa,
but yeah,
hard disagree. Hard disagree. Here's what I think. I don't think it's going to happen by June. I think even if it is perfect, let's say it's perfect by June, I don't think they'll know that it's perfect until another billion miles of data have been gathered. So I think, and I don't think they will do a stunt because they don't need one. The Model Y rollout, the Model Y unveiling was unceremonious. It was a non-event. It was the shortest, I think the shortest special event Tesla's ever held. Here's a car. Thank you. Good night. What? That's it? Yes, this car is too big and too important to hype. If we hype it, you'll find out. I don't want to spoil the surprise. And I think that there will be no need to do that. Yeah.
so it'll just be a cartoon with the word supervised, and these two little letters will bounce along and put themselves in front of the supervised, and it'll say unsupervised. Is that?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yes, Randy. Yes.
I mean, I'm a marketing guy. For me, there's got to be a communication.
I would love to see what's going on inside your thought bubble. Is it a circus? Is it a sideshow? I don't know. It's interesting. It's fascinating stuff.
All right. So whenever that happens, of course, the stock goes up. The day that they announced unsupervised, that will be a stock mover that will be significant.
I
Uh,
think so.
yeah. So then number 17, roughly a month after that. So I'm going to even suggest that it'll take about a month after they talk about unsupervised, or they say unsupervised is now a thing. You don't have to worry about the camera telling you, shooting you blue lights or red hands anymore. You can drive it unsupervised. You can get in the back seat, take a nap, go back and play with your dog, whatever you want to do. About a month later, that's when they will start something with regard to Robotaxi. And again, I think there will be a stunt or an event to start the Robotaxi process. You probably think it's don't need it, but go ahead. I'm sorry. That's
Of course. I again think it'll be the opposite. I think they will start quietly rolling out supervised, unsupervised rides,
okay.
where it's like the demo that they're doing internally now, but they might reach out to someone who has who has a Turo fleet, someone like the Kilowatts, and say, look, we'd kind of like to use your cars. We'd like you to be, I mean, can you hire people who just literally just sit there and sit behind the wheel and, they don't expect tips or anything. They're just there for legal reasons. And I think it'll be unceremonious. What I hope to see is without an announcement, all of a sudden things start getting busy on the construction side, where we see a lot of new equipment showing up or work on Giga Berlin's phase 2, where they're starting to build out a new factory. And we're like, ooh, what's this for? Why, it could be anything. Don't look, don't look. And it is for the imminent construction of the factory that will build the cybercabs.
All right. So you get the Cybercab, but before the Cybercab, you've
Right,
got the Model 3s and Model
right.
Ys and
But
whatnot.
once it works, once it's done and validated, get the factory up. So I think once they can see that we are already testing it. The 12 to 18 months it'll take to start production is the clock is ticking. So I think we could see construction of a factory or a lot of new equipment going into Giga Texas before the announcement is made so that they can get out ahead of it.
Okay. All right. So then, but when there is an actual opportunity for you and me to put our car out there, or for Tesla to start putting their own fleet out there of Model 3s and Model Ys, primarily, probably some Cybertrucks and S's and Ys, S's and X's, but overall, the existing fleet, whether they're owned by you and me or owned by Tesla, those will be going into operation. Elon said he thought, summer of this year, of the coming year. When that happens, you would need to have some kind of publicity around that. I'm sorry, some kind of publicity around that, because you need to let consumers know that they can download the app and hail the cab. So that's why I'm saying you need an event, you need a PR thing, you need something in order to talk about the fact that that's now available in San Francisco, are now available in all of California, or whatever it's going to be.
I again think you're too optimistic. Elon didn't say summer. He said by the end of 2025, but I have been known to be optimistic on my timelines. I think if we see external, even beta of unsupervised by the end of this year, it would be momentous, but I think I'm not holding my breath because I've heard by the end of next year a few times now. And I know to take that with a heap and help and assault.
Okay, so no, back up then. Don't think of it in terms of the when. Think of it in terms of the how. So the process of moving from to, that's really what I'm concentrating on here. So one day you do not have any unsupervised vehicles out there getting ride hail. And then the next day you want unsupervised vehicles out there getting ride hail. What does that process look like? I'm saying there would be some kind of PR, some kind of an event, some kind of and when I say event, it doesn't have to be, gathering the faithful to Texas to an amusement park in order to see it. I'm talking about an event like Elon, or one of his buddies in Hollywood, catching a ride on the corner of Hollywood and Vine or something. Anyway, some kind of way to get the press out.
It would be neat if they had an event where they said, we're not even going to tell you what the event is, just be here. And at it, he announced it and said, sign up if you wish to have your car on the network, sign up now. But I agree, you're right. He doesn't have to have it at a Chuck E. Cheese. He could just do it with a commercial and literally have even a 10-second spot where it's just a car rolling up with no one in it and someone at their app going, oh, I just made money. Open now. That would create a flurry of press, of enthusiasm, of activity, of revenue. It'd be fascinating.
Well, then when they do the announcement, they're also going to need to talk to us, number 18, about the revenue split, how the charging will work. Because again, these are not going to be cyber cabs. These are going to be Model 3s and Model Ys. And when I say how the charging will work, well, maybe it'll just be up to you and me to figure it all out. But I think they will come with a complete turnkey package suggesting here's a great way to clean your car. Here's how often you should clean it. Here's what you should do in that process. Here is how much you get in revenue. Here are things that we're going to do to help you. We're going to have certain charging stations that will have humans there, that will be able to, charge the car for you if you need it charged rather than just at your house. Some kind of a turnkey package.
I think on day one, it would be premature. I think on day one, they would just say, you're in charge of everything. It's just like an Uber, except you're not in the car. And that means if you don't want to charge over 80, your car would only go out for 100, 200 miles in a day and then come back. You could set charge minimums and maximums and see if you make money, see if you enjoy doing it, see if it makes sense. And I think for a lot of people, they would, depending on your market, see an amount of revenue that would make them hit up the used car lots and grab everyone they could find. And I think used prices would go a little parabolic at that point.
Yeah, well, I've been saying that for a long time. I'm glad to finally have somebody who agrees with me. Actually, I think AG agrees with me also.
Yeah,
Um,
and by the way, AJ's analysis is fantastic. He does such great work. He clearly has a career of experience making such analysis, and it shows. But I would say the difference between you and I is I keep saying if.
yeah, yeah. So 19 on my list was used Teslas disappear from the market.
Yeah. Yep.
And number 20 is Tesla's order backlog soars. So
So
it's not,
let's talk about 19 real quick because we're still there. People, I know a lot of people say, well, right, but this secondhand Model 3 is only 20 grand. If it went to 30, I wouldn't buy it. So, right, but you wouldn't have to because someone else would.
but
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, this isn't useful to me. Right. No one asked. No one cares. Go buy something else. Get that Bolt you've been eyeing, or a Polestar or a Taycan, whatever it is that stirs your cocoa. If you love driving a machine yourself, like a proper bag of meat, by all means, continue. No one is saying you can't operate your own vehicle on a public roadway yet.
Yeah, I'm not saying that yet.
And what was the next one you said?
The next one is just tied into it is that the used cars will disappear, but also the new car backlog will just go up dramatically.
It won't because there's so much capacity at Giga Texas. They would just increase the supply. So I don't even think the new cars would be more expensive. I don't even think they would jack up the price on the cars, while they may on the autonomous suite. That may become more expensive to purchase or lease, but they've got a lot of capacity. I think they would just crank up the knob to 11.
Once again, we're in 100%. Well, no, we're in 97% agreement. I've been talking about that very thing for at least 4 weeks, is that there's all this capacity and that we have no idea how many cars Tesla might sell in 2025 if these things come true sooner than you believe. So, but I do think that they would sell out.
Yes, I mean the the days of getting a car in 3 days might be over for a time. I think it was Per Larson who asked me on X, what is Tesla going to do to increase demand as demand wanes for these existing models? And I said, I I don't think it's going to. We've got a refresh on the horizon. We don't know if that'll be Q1 or Q3 of next year, but it is going to reinvigorate demand afresh. I know a lot of people who have Model Ys who are itching to get a new one because they want the kinds of upgrades that we saw with the Highland Model 3 refresh.
Yeah.
And it's exciting.
21, Tesla deploys 200 vehicles in one market for a 30-day test run. So I don't know whether this will happen before they start allowing you and I to put ours out, or whether this will happen at the same time or after, but they will also put out their first fleet of their own
Gotcha.
vehicles at about the same time.
Gotcha. So I think they could sell you one if you're already renting out your Model 3. Maybe they say early deliveries are only going to people who already have cars on the fleet, not because we're picking favorites, but because we know you know how to do this. I think if it works, it works. It doesn't matter which market. The only reason I don't want to currently sell in Riverside is because I don't have a depot in Riverside.
Mhm.
You've got your own cleaning, charging, whatever capacity. Great, we'll do that. And I think that uh, would work. But I agree that for their internal one, they'll want to go market by market so they can have a depot for cleaning, for charging, for storage, whatever it may be. And the beauty is, it doesn't have to be anywhere nice. It doesn't even have to be terribly convenient or accessible because robots don't care. And it doesn't have to be terribly big because you can jam them in, butts to nuts and keep them as close as you want because it's not like people have to open the doors to get in them. You just move the other cars out of the way.
All right, so we got that one. So 22, Tesla allows private vehicles to offer rides in, well, that's kind of already said that. So 23, reports by Tesla and others on their various metrics. So what we need now at this point, now you've got a few thousand, tens of thousands of people like you and me with our cars out there, smaller fleets, maybe Uber, Lyft, maybe Pepsi with trucks, and you've got Tesla with their own fleet out there. And now the metrics will start coming in, telling people what are the problems, what are the issues, but also what are the revenues, what time of day, where are the spots in the country where there's still a great need, et cetera. So we'll start getting a massive amount of metrics coming in.
That will be huge. I know people who run small Turo fleets, 10, 20, 50 cars, who really wanted them all to be out as robotaxis by now.
Mhm.
And they reached a point during during the shortage where they started diversifying out into other vehicles just because, look, I can't spend 60 grand on every car. That's too much. And that's what they were at the time. So they would buy Pacificas for 20,000 secondhand. And looking back, that was the right decision, because if they still had that many cars, they'd still be facing the same $60,000 car depreciation.
Right.
And they wouldn't, Teslas are so common on Turo and other ride car hosting platforms that you're not getting huge prices like you did when they were rare. And so the markup isn't as good.
Mhm.
There's the gentleman who in Australia, him and his buddies bought a bunch of Teslas to rent out like this. And they had a decision to make in 2019 where they said, look, either we're going to all buy FSD today, so we lock in the price, or we should just put that money in the stock. And they all agreed to put, I think at the time it was 10, 12,000 each into Tesla stock in 2019. That decision worked out well for them.
Really
So,
well. Yes.
so once we can see that this is actually done, that math changes entirely.
All right. Number 25 is that Tesla will start to fill in. They will use their own fleet to fill in where customer service is an issue. Initially, not forever, but in the
Do you mean
they'll
in
be
the within the ride sharing network?
within the ride sharing network. They'll
We don't
deploy
have
out of,
enough cars in Peoria on the customer side. Let's
right,
deploy more
right,
cars to
right,
Peoria.
right.
It's tough to say. At the event, when I was talking to the engineers, I asked, is the software included in the price? And they said, of course, why wouldn't it be? And I said, well, sales as a service, service as a sale, whatever it is. If you look at ChargePoint, you can purchase the equipment.
Right.
And when you purchase it, they give you the software. But after a certain period of time, 5 years, 10 years, you have to start paying for the software, even though it's just a poll without the software. So it is not unheard of for companies to charge extra for software on something that cannot operate without it. And I said, really, that seems crazy that you would include something that's worth at that point 10, 15,000 in a car that only costs 25,000. He said, yeah, 25,000. I said, what's that? He said, nothing. Okay. I said, so this will be like any other Tesla, where in the early days it's going to cost more
Yeah.
because there is
business.
demand at 50,000. There is absolutely demand at 50,000, and at 50,000, for every car they sell, they get one they can keep for themselves. So that would be magical. And that also means that they could run the line twice as fast as orders would otherwise support. So they could choose to spin up their own cash generation flywheel, or sell all of them at 50,000 when their cost is 20, 25. So it would be pretty magical either way you slice it. I don't know how much of the fleet management Tesla wants to do, and I don't think that is known outside the company just yet. And even within the company, I'd be surprised if it's been finalized.
Yeah, I think it will heavily depend on what percentage of owners do put their own cars out, and also how many fleet operators get into the game. I think if they found that they had plenty of fleet operators and people that were sucking up all the vehicles that they could make, There would be no reason to really, well, there would be a reason to put their own fleet out because they make so much more per vehicle. But initially, they may feel let these entrepreneurs go and let them do their own thing. My last one on the list is that in late 2025. See, I have a completely different timeline than you do on this one. So my understanding of the timeline is that at this very moment, they are creating a production line for cybercabs. They're whatever the equipment is that they need, whatever the things that they're going to go into it in Austin, at least, maybe in Shanghai, maybe in Berlin, but at least in Austin, that first line is being constructed, the actual line, and that sometime before the end of 2025, pilot vehicles will be coming off of that line. And then in 2026, and maybe it'll be 100, maybe it'll be 1,000, maybe it'll be 3,000, but there'll be some number of cybercabs produced this year. And then in 2020, because I don't see why it would take any longer. I mean, that's just based on the normal, what we know as the normal time from concept to finished vehicle that Tesla has normally employed, like 2 years from the final Cybertruck design to the actual deployment, actual beginning of production. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I believe that's also been in some of the statements that have been made, is that we would see something coming off the line by the end of the year and then full production in 2026. So that's just number 26. I don't know if it'll be.
I agree. You don't know.
Oh,
So I would say the production,
I
I haven't heard them say that a vehicle would be, that the Cybercab would be produced in 2025 in any number. I don't believe that they're setting up the equipment now, because as of a week ago, I know that they hadn't settled on the material for the skin. So if they don't know if it's going to be carbon fiber or plastic or aluminum, definitely not stainless steel. They did rule that out. That I don't think I think they have to determine that before they can start even finishing the design for the line itself, because that is, of course, a pretty critical part of the equation. Relatively. So the fact that what I've heard Elon say is your cyber taxi by the end of 25, cyber cab thereafter. And it could be 26, it could be 27. I don't know, because I haven't experienced version 13 yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And I think, ready for a little bomb here, Kristen, K10, Kristen Netton said, she shared this with us in a DM group. She said, "Do you notice that the incentives for 0% and all that only go through the 15th of December.
Yeah.
And here we are on the 16th.
Yeah.
And they didn't push V13 out in the first half of the month. She thinks, and I think it's great speculation, that they didn't push it out because they want to encourage people who really want it to get a new car with hardware 4 rather than trying to wait for version 13 on their hardware 3. So I think that might be, I think it's a fascinating consideration. It may even be true.
I see. Okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I was kind of surprised that they stopped it on the 15th, and then I was going to be curious to see whether they started it again on the 17th, depending on what happened to their numbers. But
I think they're trying to move units by the end of the year. And
right.
If any orders that come in now may not take delivery until January 1st.
Yeah.
If you really wanted that deal, you needed to jump on it. By the way, I think you saw on X, I did for the first time ever max out my referrals, which is
Wow.
which is amazing. So if Juniper were to come out soon enough next year, and I was able to apply all of my Tesla referral credits, and the IRA is still in place, between that and my trade-in, I might be able to get a Juniper, which would be whew, that'd be crazy. I am not a rich man, but to have a new car twice in 2 years would be bonkers.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. I did want to say a quick shout out to Ron and Carla, who have apparently been watching all my videos on all channels. So if you guys are watching this here now, thank you for doing that. It's the value I bring, Randy. to
It
your channel
is.
and others.
That's right. And if people aren't following you, they should be on
They
your
should.
on
On
X.
my channel, on X, on Randy's channel, anywhere I go,
Everywhere.
I am stalker friendly.
Yeah. What can we say? It's just the truth.
I'm all about value.
Value. Yes. And Elon's all about truth, and you're all about the truth. So I mean, you guys are aligned.
I've never been compared to Elon.
I I'll stop. I'll stop while I'm not ahead of her. No more digging. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it, Brian. I'm sure you'll come again once in a while. To all of you out there, do you enjoy having Brian on? Let me know in the comments below.
Please
You
do.
already do every time, Brian. Honestly, you've probably looked. Like
I
every
have.
time you're on, there's comments. Oh, Brian's my favorite and stuff like that. And I'm going, hey, what am I? Chopped meat?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
it's been great talking to you.